You're listening to the Moms Working Overtime podcast, the community of women you've been searching to find for so long. We bring together our mamas in waiting, brand new moms, stay-at-home moms, working moms, and the moms who maybe just have a little bit more experience than the rest of us. We're all here for community, support, and finding ways to show up better for our families each and every day. I'm so grateful that you're here, and I hope you love what you find on today's episode. Welcome back to the Moms Working Overtime podcast for your Monday pep talk. So excited to be back in the groove with you all and be putting together cool stuff for the podcast again. It's just really great to be finding this rhythm again with podcasting. But man, what a weekend. I have been engaging with so many of you on social media and love all the messages you've been sending. You know that we had a sick kid over the weekend and things have just been crazy. My kids don't sleep per usual. And so today's topic is going to hit very close to home. It's going to be the perfect message for me to talk through with you all because I experience it in my own life literally all the time. And that's why today's episode is The Struggle is Valid. And no matter if you are preparing for motherhood, I know we have mamas that listen to the podcast while they're expecting and just really getting in the right mindset and surrounding themselves with this amazing community, which I love. Our community is amazing, just literally amazing. If you're not part of our free Facebook group that we have where the community interacts, we have posts that go out on a day-to-day basis, just conversations, tips, tricks from other moms, even just confiding in each other for the things we struggle with. Definitely join. The link is always in the podcast description. But I know we have mamas that listen in preparation for motherhood. We have brand new mamas that are listening to this podcast. We have mamas that are so busy chasing toddlers, they probably miss half of every episode. And we have our more seasoned moms that just come here to be a part of the community and the gentle reminders of just how much of a gift this experience is as mothers. And I'm so glad that you're all here. All of you bring something to the table here in the community and have been able to make this what it is. And I know that this podcast can be relatable to any of us, no matter what stage of motherhood that you're in. I think it's just a good reminder and it's nice to be validated sometimes. And so today we're going to talk about the struggle is valid because there's so many moms, especially at the end of the summer. Everyone's feeling run down. Everyone's preparing for the school year to start trying to find a new groove again. And so many moms are going through things that make them question their capability and their role as a mom. And that is just something that we cannot tolerate in motherhood. We have to be able to look to our sisters to our right and our left and remind them constantly that they're doing an amazing job, remind them that they're exactly where they're supposed to be. And the things that lead to us questioning our capability, first of all, you guys know I remind you of this all the time. Social media has created this taboo in the motherhood community that we don't talk about our struggles. We don't talk about what's hard. Or when you do come across accounts that talk about the struggles in motherhood, it's always attached to that like mom wine culture of we must have alcohol or different things to survive motherhood in order to get through this. We have to have some type of stimulant in our system. And I think that this comparison is what makes moms feel like they're failing. I think that we look at this, and if we're struggling, if we're going through something, we look at these and we think, I must not be doing this right. I can't be doing this mom thing right if I feel this miserable, if I feel like I'm struggling this much. It's not supposed to be this hard. I feel like that's what society screams at us is if you're doing it right, if you have it together, mama, it's not supposed to be this hard. And that's where I think this podcast is going to be a great piece of reassurance for so many of you as moms, because that's an unrealistic expectation in motherhood is that it's not supposed to be hard. And that unrealistic expectation is going to drown you if you live inside of that for too long. Because the harsh reality, and if you've been following the podcast since the beginning, you know I've talked about motherhood as a ministry. The harsh reality is that motherhood is hard. It's super hard and it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to push you. It's supposed to break you sometimes. It's supposed to recreate, rebuild you stronger than you were before. This is why we say, as moms, we are never bouncing back in the physical capacity, in the mental, emotional, spiritual development capacity. We're never bouncing back. That woman wouldn't know how to handle what we have on our plate now. Are you kidding me? I don't want to go backwards. Who I am now is stronger, and who I want to be will be even stronger than I am today. And so it's supposed to do that for you. Motherhood intentionally shatters you so that you can rebuild stronger and be the person that you were designed to be for your family. This isn't the average Joe life assignment that you've been given, mama, and that is on purpose. You're raising humans. We are raising humans, humans that we send out into the world, humans who interact with other humans on a day-to-day basis, humans that may change everything for the rest of our society. It's kind of a big deal. We are kind of a big deal, okay? Pat yourself on the back. But knowing that with this great responsibility comes a lot of hard work. And in motherhood, that statement that I love to remind you of, we even have shirts that we released in MWO, is that motherhood is a ministry. Meaning, motherhood is a sacrifice, and it's a sacrifice we should be really proud of, because every single challenge that we overcome in motherhood shapes this legacy that we leave with our children. It's incredible. We get to do that. But society likes to glamorize that journey. That's just not the reality. And when you look at those moms, this could be a mom that's down the street from you, a mom who has a kid on your kid's soccer team. This could be a mom you follow on social media. Okay. I can tell you, even those perfect moms that you watch on social media that you know in your day to day life, it gets ugly for them too. Even those moms that you think you have them all figured out, you think you're a good read of people, you probably have no idea what's going on in her life, what's going on in her head behind closed doors. Because we all fight demons. We all fight battles behind closed doors that we just don't tell anyone about. We just don't talk about it. Our children are all going through something, whether that be physically, psychologically, emotionally, maybe academically. We all have these internal stresses about little things like that. Maybe they're not meeting milestones perfectly, or we just don't feel super educated in a certain area. So we start to doubt our confidence in things. We all have that when it comes to our children. Some of us are battling some really intense childhood trauma, and it makes us question ourselves at every turn. We worry that we're passing this on to our own children. Sometimes it's our relationships, our marriages that are just far from perfect. Sometimes they're even borderline unhealthy. And we're constantly anxious about this impact on our family. Sometimes there's external family tension with other family members, torn relationships, or relationships that are hurting that we also see as a constant impact to our children that we are supposed to be raising, right? We're supposed to be doing this perfect job with them, but we have this stuff that we hide behind closed doors. Maybe it's a struggle with friendships. Maybe it's just that you don't feel like you have enough time to spend with your friends. You're not filling your own cup in that capacity. It could be struggles with the work-life balance, because I can tell you, moms that are stay-at-home moms struggle. Moms that work from home with their kids home or not home struggle. Moms that work outside the home struggle. We don't talk about that enough. Instead, we just judge each other. We're so hard on each other. We portray this perfect quote unquote picture of a mom on social media. I can promise you, so many moms struggle with that. They just don't talk about it. It could be money struggles. It could be struggling and battling over what personal values you want to instill in your children, struggling about how to properly raise them, how to discipline them, how to approach schoolwork, your different stance on, do they go to college? Do they go to technical school? Different things like that that are constantly weighing on you. It could be stressing about, are you going to do screen time or not do screen time with your kids? Stressing about the state of the world right now. All these things. I know there's so many things I didn't even mention. Whatever it is that's weighing on you, there's another mama who is also experiencing the same stress, the same pressure. She's just not talking about it. Why? Because society has given us this idea that to struggle or to hurt or to be anxious about something is shameful. But do not let the lack of this example in your day to day life and on your social media feed, don't let the lack of that cloud your perspective and leave you thinking that these moms that you compare yourself to don't have any issues. Because the reality is that this role is hard. That's why the title of this podcast is The Struggle is Valid. Okay. The struggle is real. The struggle is valid. This role is hard. It's why you are in it and no one else, because only you can navigate this perfectly for your children. You were designed perfectly for your children. No one could step into your shoes tomorrow and do this the way that you do. No one could do it right. And the right way is only defined based off of you and your relationship with your little family. No one could do it right based on how you were designed to be exactly what they need. And my perspective shift for you with this pep talk, especially if you're struggling with this right now, if this is hitting close to home right now in your heart, is that motherhood doesn't have to be miserable, mama, but it will be challenging. The sooner you accept that, the sooner it will help shape your perspective. Motherhood does not have to be miserable, but it will be challenging. It will push you. It will bring emotions out that maybe you've been trying to push away. It will max out your patience if you have not figured that out already. It's going to leave you exhausted often, but it doesn't have to be miserable. I want you to think about this like if you've ever had a job that you hated, or maybe you've had a job that you were super excited about, super passionate about. Maybe you've had both, and you're going to be able to really connect the dots here. When you're working hard for something that you are resentful of, it feels like misery. And this is what motherhood feels like if you are resentful of the challenges being thrown your way. If you don't feel proud of how hard this is and the position that you've been put in, it will feel a lot like misery, much like working a job that you resent. But on the flip side, if you're working hard for a job or a cause that you're super passionate about, working hard like that somehow in that instance finds a way to be invigorating. Why is it? You could be putting the exact same amount of hours and stress into two different things and feel two completely different ways about it. This is motherhood. If you are sitting in a perspective of resentment of how hard this is and that it's on your shoulders, because it often is, mama. I know moms carry a lot of the weight and the time and the effort of lots of things inside of this role. I get that. Your struggle is valid. But if you are resentful of it and you're living inside resentment, you will feel misery. On the flip side, if we can do a perspective shift and we can flip on gratitude as often as possible, and I know this is where some people will say this is toxic positivity. I don't believe in toxic positivity. If you haven't hung around with me long enough, I believe that through personal development, we can find a way to overcome anything together, okay? If you can shift your perspective and surround yourself with moms that will hear you and say, "Mama, that struggle is so valid. How can I help? What do you need from me right now? How can I encourage you? How can I support you? Hey, you were made for this." When you can flip to that and be proud of this sacrifice. Look, mama, I am so tired. I still roll my eyes, and you got to make that sound when your kids get you out of bed in the middle of the night. You have to go, ugh, you have to. I don't know how else you get out of bed when your kids wake up in the middle of the night. However, I instantly flip the switch in my mind. And it's really hard for gratitude and anxiety or resentment to live in the same space. Gratitude will drown it all out. I instantly in my mind say, I am so grateful to be their comfort. I get to be number one. I get to be mom. No one beats mom. Maybe when they're teenagers, they act like someone else beats mom, but no one beats mom. And when you can do that, when you can shift your perspective, you leave misery and you instead start to respect the challenge for what it is and what it is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easy. And once you can shift that perspective and see this mission that you're working towards, which, by the way, a mission that you're working towards, that you're fighting for alongside all of us as moms, all of us, do we not realize that we are banded together? You know how much stronger we could be if we banded together, realizing that we're not alone, this mission that we're fighting for together. If we can channel that struggle into something that drives us forward, we are going to be unstoppable. But this requires a couple things, mama. We have to admit to our struggle. You need to find a community of moms, whether that is inside of our Facebook group, it's listening to this podcast, it's hitting up my DMs, it's connecting with other moms in your community, whatever that is. You need to have a community of moms that is willing to say, things are a dumpster fire, and that's okay. I'm tired, and that's okay. My kids aren't dressed perfectly. Their lunch isn't packed perfectly. Maybe we missed a homework assignment, whatever that might be. It's not perfect. And that's okay. We need moms like that. We need to normalize that so that we start comparing ourselves to something that's realistic and realizing that, wow, motherhood is hard, but she ain't doing it perfectly. Neither is she. Neither is she. She looks great, but even she doesn't have it all together. We have to normalize that we are together in this mission, mamas, because by putting on a front and acting like things are perfect in our own lives, we are unintentionally tearing down other moms who now think that is the expectation. And she may be sitting in her darkest days and she needs our brutal honesty. And this is why when you follow me on social media, it's not sunshine and rainbows. I intentionally will highlight the struggles, not to make my social media account a downer account, but because I know there's mamas who message and just say, thank you. Thank you for being someone I can follow and I can see the highs and the lows. Thank you for being real. Thank you for being unscripted. We need to be that for each other. We are in this mission together. And if we can band together and we can support each other on those weekdays, we can remind each other that this is worth it. We can remind each other how proud we should be of this ministry, the sacrifice that we're giving in our lives. Then we're going to approach these challenges with pride and grit and passion rather than resentment and misery. But we can't be afraid to talk about that, mamas, because I promise you, if you're listening today and you thought you were alone, you are certainly not alone. And your struggles certainly are valid. You're not crazy. It's hard. It's really, really hard. But mama, the reminder I'll give you every single time you come to this podcast, and the reminder I hope you get in your day-to-day life every single day is, despite all the challenges, you're doing a really, really amazing job. Okay? Hang in there, mama. We're all here for you. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. If you loved this episode of Moms Working Overtime, do me a favor. Share it on social media or send it to another mom to remind her that you love her and that she's doing such an amazing job. There's nothing more incredible that we can do in this community than remind other mamas of their strength. I'm so glad you were here today, and just know that I appreciate you an overtime amount.